Hey guys, I'm Kevin. I am the owner of multi 6 and 7 figure accounting firms in Canada. And I wanted to talk to you guys a bit today about this one question that I seem to always get from people. And that is, people tell me that they either have never worked in public practice before, they work in industry, or they do work in public practice, but the reality is they're not high up in management, or they're not a partner, or whatever the case may be. And the question is, how in the world can I possibly own a firm if I have not started my career in public practice and made partner, 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the line? And my response to that is, it's very simple. And I'm a living proof of it. I originally started my career in industry. I spent roughly 20 years in industry before I ended up, well, little bit of a story there. What happened is I was in industry. I was making good money. I was making roughly $125,000 a year. My wife and I, we had 3 kids, and our kids were all teenagers, and we had a mortgage, we had vehicle payments. And I was sitting at my kitchen table one night, working out my numbers like I very often do. And our daughter at the time, she was 14 years old. And I knew that in 2 years, because in Canada, you can get your driver's license when you're 16. I knew in 2 years' time, I'm going to have to figure out a way where she's going to be able to buy a vehicle. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter how I crunched those numbers, I couldn't make it work. With the mortgage, with my vehicle, my wife's vehicle, our other 2 kids were in hockey at the time. It just seemed like a battle that I was not going to win, even though I was making decent money at the time and had a really good job. Now, the killer part there is, when you look at the jobs in industry, and really even the jobs in public practice, you are going to cap out on the high end. And I'm talking the real high end for the majority of us. We're going to cap out at about 125, maybe 150 if you are very, very lucky. And I mean very lucky. The majority of us, we're going to be in around the 80, 90, 100,000, maybe $115,000 range. Take tax off of that and you're right back down into the $70,000 range. So you're clearing $6,000 a month. That is not going to buy you the kind of house you want. That is not going to make the car payments you want. And that is not going to pay for your kids' activities that you may want to do. I figured that out. And at that point, I started looking around at what are my options. Oddly enough, I ended up coming across a local firm that was listed. I asked for the financial statements to do my due diligence, just to see what it was all about. Net income in that firm at the time was showing $240,000. And I thought, wow, $240,000, I can basically double my money. It's inside a company, and I can grow it from there. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to try this out. So I ended up buying the firm. Within the first year, well, not even the first year, I bought the firm. I took possession of the firm on January 1. Within the first 3 months, so the first month of tax season, month of March, I was paying myself $125,000 a year. I wanted to keep the same income I had when I transitioned from industry over into public practice. And in that first 3 months, my bank account was up $67,000. I could not believe it. So technically, I had in the bank half of my regular salary that I was making when I was in industry. And that was only in March. When we hit April and May and June, I continued to draw on a salary of $125,000 a year. By the end of tax season, I had $100,000 net in my bank account. At that time, I started working my numbers out again because my entire financial circumstances had changed tremendously. We ended up, I bought a fairly expensive cruiser boat. And like I said, my kids, they were in their mid-teens. So for the next 5 years, we ended up going up to the Shuswap Lake, which is, for anybody who doesn't know what the Shuswap Lake is, it is a huge lake. I think it's got over like 1,000 kilometers of shoreline. But we would spend the summers up there, and we would camp, we would stay in the boat, we would cook in the boat. I mean, it was a blast, and I know my kids loved it. My wife, not so much, because she's the one who had to do the cooking in the boat. Because trust me, if I was going to cook, nobody was going to eat it. So anyway, bottom line is, that's what got me into public practice. And I can tell you this, as somebody coming from industry, if you have your CPA, you've got all the skills you possibly need to run a firm. You've been trained to keep your eye on detail. You've been trained to analyze numbers. You've been trained to put budgets together. You've been trained to be able to communicate technical information to people. Your CPA designation, it gives you everything that you possibly need in order to run a firm. And what I found when I got into running my own firm is that you're not capped. You're not capped at all in regards to your earning potential. You want to earn more? Sky's the limit. You can earn more, no problem. So what I did is once I ran the gamut a few times, and what I mean by that is after I did a couple of years, had a feel for the lay of the land and how everything worked, I expanded and I bought another firm. What that allowed us to do is when we bought that other firm, a piece of property came on the market, 5-acre, very exclusive property. At the time, asking price was $500,000, which was extremely high. I mean, at that time, lots were going for $110,000, $115,000. So we bought it, we built a house, built $1 million house, no problem, moved in. From there, I started looking at the car market, and I bought my first import, was a BMW M5, totally loved it. Switched it up though, I got into the Mercedes-Benz, the E63, and from there my interest just grew. Got into Porsche, and most recently in the last 5, 6, 7 years, I've been buying Ferraris. So where I'm going with this whole thing is not only is making the transition into public practice more than doable, it opens your doors up like you will never believe. When you're working for somebody else in industry, you are at their mercy. You're at the mercy of certain job openings. You're at the mercy of whether or not you get the interview. You're at the mercy of where the job is. Do you have to commute? Do you have to relocate? Do you have to uproot the entire family? Are you going on your own, or what happens there? When you get your own firm, it is a complete different ball game altogether. Automatically, your salary goes up. And as I've been saying in other videos that I've been doing, you can bank on your salary going up anywhere between 3 to 4 to 5 to even 6 times what you're currently making. And of course, that depends on what you're currently making, but on average, 3 to 6 times higher, without a doubt. At the end of the day, if you find that you want to expand your operations, you can do that. I'm not going to say easily, because there is some work in doing it, but it is most definitely possible. I mean, take my situation for example. We've expanded through acquisition, 1, 2, 3, 4 firms. I've been involved in making potential deals on 9 other firms. It's just, if you want what I call a balls to the wall kind of firm, you can do it, no problem. The flip side of that, though, is if you want a lifestyle firm, which you know what? There are a lot of people going for that now. I'll give you an example. I'm currently looking at a firm. It nets about just under 200 grand. But when I look at that firm, I see so many different ways how we can increase that, almost $200,000 to almost $500,000 net income. And the best part about that, when I look at the type of files that are there, I look at the number of corporate clients, the number of personal clients, that firm, that could easily be a lifestyle firm whereby if you want to put in 2 solid days a week, you could do it and you could maintain those numbers. I worked those numbers out after tax. If you had one person that bought that firm, you would end up, after you pay all your staff, you pay all your operating costs, and you service your debt, you could walk out of there with about $365,000 net in your pocket, paid as a salary. So if you're currently making, 70, 80, 90,000 a year, we're talking 3, 4, maybe 4.5 times what you're currently making. And the best part about it, you're not doing 40, 50, 60 hours a week. You're doing 2 days a week, 16 hours a week, quite easily. And I will bet you, once you shape that firm up into what you want, I would bet you money that you could actually cut those 16 hours back even further if you really wanted to. Or if you wanted to, you could expand. Let's say it was 2 days on that firm, you've got another 3 days. If you only want to work 5 days a week, you could easily expand. I tell you about these stories just so that everyone can see what is really possible out there. Because this business of thinking that you can only work Monday to Friday for somebody else, 9 to 5, that sort of thing. If you want something different, you can most definitely do it. And if you have gone through the CPA program, or before we all became CPAs, if you went through the CMA or the CA or the CGA program, you have the skill set, you have the know-how, you can most definitely, without a doubt, run your own firm, without a doubt. And as I said, I can come on here and I can talk about this because I did just that. I came from a place of industry. I completed my designation. At the time, I was not happy with what I was making. The money just wasn't there. Even though the stupid part about it, like I said, I was making darn good money at that time, but it wasn't enough. It didn't take care of everything that I thought that I deserved and my family deserved. And if anybody out there feels the same way, or if you're feeling the crunch in terms of you're making good money, but the reality is it's not working. It's not allowing you to provide the kind of lifestyle that you want to provide for your family, be it your wife, your kids, your husband, whatever your situation is. Public practice might just be the answer for you. Because when you get into public practice, you run the show. And what I mean by that is you decide how much you want to make, how many hours a week you want to work. And if you don't like something, change it. It's pretty straightforward. So anyway, like I said, I get a lot of questions from colleagues or other CPAs who are not in public practice or who are not high up in management with public practice, and they feel as though they don't have the skill set or they don't have the training to be able to run their own firm. And I just wanted to shoot a quick video just to get it out there and let people know that, you know what, you can actually do it. And I'm living proof of the whole thing. So anyway, like I said, you guys, my name is Kevin. I am the owner and operator of multi 6- and 7-figure firms in Canada. If anything that I've said in this video interests you, you'll see all my contact information below. Hit me up, and maybe it's time we have a discussion of where you are at in your life and whether or not it's time to make a change. All right, guys, talk to you later.